Okay, my friends, hi, hello, here we are. I am Kate. We're doing spiritual response technique together. This is a dowsing modality, a dowsing spiritual healing, a dowsing awareness creator. This is when we use our pendulum and this beautiful set of charts to find out what might be going on beneath the surface for us today that we could release ourselves from. Maybe this is outdated beliefs. Maybe this is just gross energies. Maybe this is something from a past life. Maybe this is something from another realm, another parallel, another phase of existence that we don't even know is influencing us. And so we connect together, my higher self and your higher self, my consciousness with your consciousness, and we're able to reveal what is going on beneath the surface so that then we can look at it and hopefully let it go, because once it's at the surface, that's when you can release it. When it's still hidden, when it's still in the subterranean realms, it has a lot of power over us. But once we bring it up, once we bring it to the light, we then get to decide what we do with it. Do we want to use it? How do we want to use it? Do we want to alchemize it? Do we just want to destroy it? We have all kinds of options once it's brought to the light. But again, nothing we can do when it's in the subterranean world. So that's what we're here to do today. And when we were doing our energy exchange earlier, we found out that sadness was the energy we would most benefit from releasing, and laughter was the energy we were going to call in its place. Makes a lot of sense, right? Laughter, great antidote for sadness. And it's beautiful because you can actually hold sadness and laughter at the same time. And the more laughter you bring in the midst of that sadness, I think the smaller and the smaller and the smaller that sadness energy will be. So let's start with our charts looking at this sadness thing. And I'm just going to ask, I go to my first chart, and this is sort of my index, and I'm just going to ask, what is the root of this sadness? And actually first, and this is kind of a classic SRT starting point, we ask, is this physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual? And in my mind's eye, I have a 3-ring binder here, and so I can ask, is this physical, mental, emotional, and then kind of off the charts would be spiritual. Again, this is spiritual sadness. So this is very much, I'm guessing, like yesterday's clearing was very much a spiritual clearing. There are some times where it's more of a mental clearing. It's like stuff happening in the conscious mind that we need to be aware of, we need to let go of. Other times we've had like physical issues with the physical body programs, as I like to call them. This kind of came up a couple days ago, where it was like shame and embarrassment, fear of rejection. That was all living in the physical body. But today, again, we're looking at the spiritual body. We're looking at the root of this sadness being on a spiritual level. So let's dive in a little bit more and see, well, what do you mean by that? What is happening there in that sort of spiritual realm? And I'm seeing the word looping. I don't know if you can see that here on my chart. It says looping. And that means when you get to this chart right here, sure, there's some petals and there's some things that it says, but chances are you are just stuck in a loop. You're just going round and round again on the same outdated belief with the same programming, just sort of stuck, energetically stuck. You could just be in an energetic, rinse, wash, repeat cycle where you just keep going round and round and round, and nothing is really helping you to step outside of that, to get off the hamster wheel, as I like to say. And so we're just going to say, first and foremost, Spirit, clear it, help us in any way we can to just be able to get out of that loop. And sometimes we can say, dissolve the constructs of the cording to the looping. So it's almost like, the way that I like to imagine that is like, imagine that there is like a wire hoop, just in an endless circle, right? And here you are with your little lasso. You've lassoed, you've hung on to that wire loop, and you're just going with it, right? So you're corded to the looping. And the thing that I like about this imagery is that it doesn't require you in any way to stop the looping, because the looping could be something that is out of your control. It could be an energetic vortex that is just like in existence, that you can't stop even if you wanted to. But what you can do is you can remove your lasso and let yourself fling out. Trust me, you'll be okay. You'll land somewhere, relatively soft in the grand scheme. And you can just kind of let go of the looping. You can release yourself from the looping versus trying to get the looping to stop. So that's a visual that I like to kind of go through in my own mind when a looping comes up, is like I release myself from the attachment to the looping. I cut the cord between myself and the looping. And you can say that now. I cut all cords between myself and looping energy. I cut cords between myself and all my bad habits, because that can be looping too. I cut the cording between myself and all of my addictions. All of my habits, all of my addictions, all of the negative attractions that are, operating on a spiritual level for me. And we also just say, Spirit, clear it, which is our prayer. It's like, hey, the source of all that is, could you do me a favor and help a friend out here? Help me get out of this, this quicksand that I'm in. All right, awesome. So what else can we do here? We're just going to say, what else do you want to show us about this sadness? Again, we know it's spiritual. We know that we were stuck in a loop. So what else do we want to know about it that's going to help us heal, help us move on? We are one with all of consciousness and have access to Spirit's blueprints and programming. That's the note. That's the note. And so what percent are we open to Spirit's blueprints? 0%. What percent are we blocked to Spirit's blueprints? 100%. So this is my 100 over here. This is my 0. So we were 0% open to Spirit's original blueprints, and we're 100% blocked to accessing those blueprints. And when we have, so when we have access to Spirit's original blueprint, which is like the original idea of all that is, the original framework of all that is, the original architecture of all that is, we will see that it is perfection, it is infinite, and it is beautiful. It is love, it is light. And has there been a process of, of darkness and of evil and of its opposite, of duality? Yes, there's that as well. But when we access the original blueprint, we will see why those things are in existence. And what I'm getting right now is part of our sadness is because we've disconnected from the original plan. We have lost sight of the original blueprint of all that is, and why we are all here, why we all go through what we go through, why there is duality, why we have to experience difficulty, why we have to experience hard lessons. We're disconnected from that beautiful spiritual architecture, which is creating sadness in all of us. And so we clear and cleanse ourselves of any cloudiness, any fogginess, any veils, any curtain that is blocking us from seeing that blueprint and accessing that blueprint. And we firmly believe that we deserve and can access that blueprint. So not only are we releasing all of that cloudiness, all of that fogginess, the veil, the curtain, the blocks, the walls, but we're also saying, I believe that when I drop in, when I come into presence, when I come into this moment and I let go of all that is and all that ever was and all that ever will be, I can access the divine blueprint of myself and of all that is. And inside of that access is true peace, true bliss, true enlightenment. And that's not a state I'm encouraging anybody to have to stay in all the time, because I think that would be pointless. I'm not saying you need to be, if that's your path, that's your path. If you want to go be the monk on the mountain, that's okay. But I'm not encouraging us as regular people to just be in bliss all the time. But when we are experiencing that sadness, it's wonderful when you can just pull out the blueprint of the divine plan and go, oh, that's right. Yes, I can feel this sadness because my dog died, or my boyfriend cheated on me, or I feel like I don't even know, hell, maybe I'm having an existential crisis and I don't even know why we're all here. Yes, you can be sad about that. And again, when we drop out of, our attachment to this present reality, when we drop out of our obsession with the past and our obsession with the future, and we're right here, right now, and we have access to the divine blueprint, the divine plan, we know that that sadness is temporary. That sadness is a blip on the radar. That sadness is not something that we have to identify with, that we have to, make our whole life and our whole day even. You can dip in and out of that sadness throughout the day. You can say, okay, right now is the time where I will allow myself to experience that sadness. And then I want there to be a time in this day where I say, no, I have access to Spirit's original plan, Spirit's original blueprint. And when I read it, when I access it, I have laughter. Because genuinely, I will say, that is the ticket for me. When things are getting heavy, when things are getting hard, I do my very best to wake up to the reality of my divine nature. It makes me laugh, and then I feel a lot better. So I encourage all of you to say right now, I open myself up to the divine plan. I open myself up to the belief that I have the power to access Spirit's architecture. The architecture of all that is, the architecture of why we're here, the architecture of our own spirit and our own soul. And when we have access to those blueprints, that's also where a lot of our power comes in. Whenever I am trying to do a healing for myself, one of the first steps I take is I download the original blueprint. So if I'm working on pain that I'm feeling in my back, the first thing I do is I say, Spirit, please download me with the original blueprint that existed when my body was in perfect form, when there was no pain, when there was no tight muscles, when there was no, soreness or friction. And even as I'm saying those words right now, I can sense my body already softening into that. She's like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that divine blueprint. I remember that there is a formula that exists that is my own divine perfection. And yes, I've split off, and yes, I'm in a human form, and yes, I have to experience pain and illness and all of those things, and I also have access to those original blueprints. When I want them, I can call them in. And my body remembers them. I'm sorry, but my body remembers it when I ask her to remember it. Does she always remember it forever? No, because she's human sometimes, and she'll, and occasionally she'll drop back into not remembering it. But a lot of times, it really, really does work, and it works, ongoing. It works repeatedly. Okay, anything else here that we can look at when it comes to this sadness? So is this, I'm just going to ask a yes or no answer. So is there anything else for me to look at when it comes to the sadness? No. So now we're going to look at our laughter. So let's look at what percent are we open to laughter? 100%. What percent are we blocked to laughter? 100%. And let me go back really quickly because I just realized I did ask a percentage question. I want to look at it again. So I had asked what percent are we open to the divine plan? So now we're 100% open. And what percent are we blocked to seeing and feeling and hearing the divine plan? Not at all. So that's great. So I just wanted to show you that we did, just with the work that we were just doing and talking through it verbally and doing a little bit of the spinny, we just cleared ourselves of that. So it would be interesting to see if if you did a little meditation for yourself right now, if you could, because we just did this, if you could, visualize those blueprints. See what comes up for you when you try to visualize the divine blueprints. Just curious what comes up. Okay, so now we're going to look at those blocks to laughter. So what can we do to clear out the remaining blocks to our laughter? And this is chart 11 is coming up. And this is our soul energy programming. We're asking to cleanse the soul of evil. Again, this goes back to the Garden of Eden myth. This is just going to keep coming up, I have a feeling. The Garden of Eden myth. We cleanse the soul of evil now. And you can just say, I cleanse my soul of evil now. I cleanse my soul of the belief that I am evil. Yeah, that's the thing, right? I cleanse my soul of the belief that I am evil. I don't need to hang on to that anymore. It's not mine. I don't want it. No, thank you. That is not a helpful belief system at all. So now what do we got going on here? We've got susceptibility to lower forces on chart 5. So anything in particular about these lower forces? Yeah, on a spiritual realm, when you're not accessing the divine blueprint, you are absolutely susceptible to the darker forces. The darker forces being darker thoughts, a darker state of being in your spirit, because again, you're not accessing, you're not recognizing and realizing and owning your part in the divine plan. The fact that you are perfect and beautiful, and you will go back to perfection. Even if you are not, you're not able to be perfect in this present moment. It doesn't mean that you aren't ultimately part of perfection, that you will return to perfection when this life is over, when this life of imperfection is over. So enjoy your imperfection now. You will go back to divinity. You will go back to perfection. So that's just the truth of that. And then discordant thought forms was the dark force that I said. So, it's our dark mental habits that's coming up right now. That is what is blocking us to laughter. And I have a feeling a lot of you are going to be like, oh yeah, no, it's my own thoughts blocking me to laughter. It's my own thoughts blocking me to what I need to do. It's my own thoughts blocking me to happiness and joy. It's my own damn seriousness. Why am I this serious? Well, it's because I am not accessing the truth and the information that I am a part of the divine plan in a beautiful, perfect way. So Spirit clears all of our discordant thought forms that we are stuck with right now. Oh, and this is interesting. So the icky energies chart is coming up, 6A, where we call our icky energies in from. Okay, ego is coming up. So we release ourselves from our ego now. Any disharmony in the ego. Anything on chart 3 you want to show me about the ego? Chart 3 is kind of like our ego is actually really good right now, high up on the I don't know. Sometimes SRT has funny things. It's like, how do I say this for the layman? How do I explain this for somebody who doesn't know it? But basically, it's like on the path of our soul's journey. If you look at it as like, a figure 8. And sometimes we're in lower forces, sometimes we're sort of like in our human mind, and sometimes we're elevated truly up into the spirit realm. And and then our souls, our spirits just go through this evolutionary process. There's points in that process where things can get icky, stuck, where we can get trapped with gross beings that don't have our best interest in heart. We can get stuck there because of certain patterns, certain energies. And right now this is saying, no, our ego's actually doing pretty good right now. And yet, for some reason, we're just going to say, Spirit, clear anything that is blocking our ego from actually being a part of the process of laughter. If our ego is thinking, oh no, I have to continue to play this role and have this identity of the sad person, we can release our ego now. And you can say that. It's like, I release myself from the identity of the sad person. I've always just been known as the person who is sad. I've always just been known as the person who is serious. And that's just the role I've played, and my ego got kind of used to that, and that's how I feel like I know how to show up in the world. Well, just release yourself from that. You don't need to do that. You're not going to get in trouble. Yeah, maybe people will be like, whoa, who the hell are you, if you suddenly stop showing up as the sad person. But like, that's the worst that's going to happen, is people are like, whoa, what's going on here? You're kind of like, nothing bad's going to happen. And you can say again, so it's not just about releasing, it's also about reprogramming and saying, I firmly believe I can be somebody who is happy. Say that. I firmly believe that I can be somebody who's happy. I release myself to laughter now. Seeing the massive joke that this whole thing is. There is so much humor in all of this life. There is so much humor in all of this just ridiculousness that we go through. And so often we don't laugh about it. So often we go the other way. We go into those lower forces. We go into that, icky mindset. So we're just releasing all of us to be funny. I release you to be funny now. Okay, anything else we need to do to help unblock us to laughter? Is this chart 23 or May's chart 23? My roomie is trying to get a hold of me because she's buying us some sweet treats from our favorite bakery. And I'm sure she would love for me to get off this video right now and respond to her, but I want to finish this. Genetic DNA and core beliefs, and this goes to our soul's DNA. Releasing ourselves from any of our soul DNA, really any DNA in our physical form as well, that was, misprogrammed to being sad. And for a lot of us, I think this does run in the family. Your mom is sad, your mom's mom was sad, your mom's mom was sad, your grandpa was sad, your great grandpa was sad, everybody in your family is just kind of sad. There's many families that struggle with humor and laughter, and there's many families that are blocked, the whole family line, from accessing the divine plan and the divine truth. And so we're releasing all family lines, all genetics and DNA that were misprogrammed or miscalculated, misformulated into sadness. We release them now into laughter, into happiness, into joy. Cool. Any other things we need to do tonight? All right, 6E. 6E, this doesn't come up very often. This is our current psychological disharmony. This is interesting. Considering others' feelings, needs, and viewpoints. So maybe that is part of what is blocking us to our divine plan, is we're too worried about what everybody else is saying. We are so worried about everybody else's viewpoint, everybody else's opinion, that even though deep down in our own heart, you believe in what I am saying right now, you believe in the infinite nature of spirit, you believe we are all a part of the same consciousness, you believe we are all connected, we are all part of source, and we will return to wholeness when we die. Even if you want to believe that, you have been so heavily influenced by everybody else's feelings and viewpoints on the matter that you are blocked now to the truth of the divine plan, and block then to, the laughter that can come, the humor, the joy that can come when you again let go and you're like, wow, I am all just a part of spirit. This is all just a beautiful journey that we're all on. So release you from that now. And you can say again, here's our release statements. I release myself from everybody else's opinion on the matter. I allow myself to think what I want to think, feel what I want to feel, and access the divine truth. Nobody else's truth matters. My truth is the only truth that matters. Spirit's truth is the only truth that matters. The divine truth is the only truth that matters. Am I going to get a dog nose? Am I going to get a dog nose? You're going to come say hi to everybody? Tiny, tiny dog nose. Tiny, tiny dog nose. Okay, we'll get wrapping up here soon. All right. Yep, let's go to releasing a final 6A icky energy. Then we'll do a 6B, and then we'll be on our way. Okay, so unhappiness is energy we're going to clear. How perfect. See how I have to have my elbow up, or else she'll knock my elbow. Watch, she'll just knock it. See how she just knocks it? She just knocks my elbow. She loves to knock my elbow. So unhappiness. Domineering. Ooh, I love that we're releasing ourselves from the domineering thoughts, feelings, and opinions of everybody else. And then what is the new energy we're calling in its place? Comfort. Comfort. I love that too. Yeah, if you're feeling sad, comfort is a great replacement energy. All right, everybody. Let's drop in one more time. Finding ourselves right here, right now, in this very present moment. Allowing the work to happen beneath the surface, allowing ourselves to be transformed, allowing ourselves to heal, allowing ourselves to laugh, allowing ourselves to access the truth of our own divine nature. All right. I hope that was helpful for you in some way. If you'd like to book a session with me, visit me at www.thepointedstone.com. I would love to chat. I would love to at least give you some, a little insight into what we can do through dowsing, through spiritual response technique. It's a beautiful, beautiful modality, and I would love to share it with more people. All right. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time on another episode of Clearing with Kate.